Hi everybody, today we're going to take a quick look at getting started with Gigasheet. This is a really basic introductory overview and certainly not comprehensive. Doesn't include all of the detailed features and functions that you can do, but I'll try to hit on the things that are most often used in Gigasheet. So the first thing you'll notice when you log in is you see your library, which is kind of your list of files that you have loaded into Gigasheet. And I'll just spend a minute and talk about this. Obviously, you can see how many rows and columns and the storage space that is being utilized here. You can also check on your quota. So you can see I have a very large quota since I work at Gigasheet, but of course you can upgrade to purchase more space. The other thing I wanted to point out here are these icons that you'll notice next to each file, and in some cases next to folders. In this case, this denotes that this file, I've shared it with someone else. In this case, it's privately shared or restricted link. And in this case, it's public. So anyone in the world with this link can access this file. You can do the same thing with folders as well. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to load a file into Gigasheet. And to do that, you click here, File, Upload. You can also use data connectors, but I'll just load a flat file for now. I can select from my device or log into these cloud services. You can use AWS S3's pre-signed links, or if the URL, if it's a public URL of data that's available on the internet, you can load from a link here. In this case, I'm just going to upload a file that I have on my computer, and it's a pretty large file, and I'm just going to drag that over. This is a zip file, as you can see. One of the cool things about Gigasheet is you can zip multiple files if you wanted to. So if I had like 10 files I wanted to combine or look at separately, I can do that here. In this case, it's just a CSV file, I believe, inside of this zip. And Gigasheet will automatically unzip it and parse all that data and load it. If I had a lot of files, it would do that for every file in this zip. The other thing is it saves time for uploading. So in this case, when it's decompressed, this file is about 1.4 gigs or something, I think. We'll take a look at it in a second. But when I zip it, it zips down to only 102 megs, so it saves a ton of time on upload speed. But it's up to you. If you want to upload it decompressed, you can. It just takes a bit longer. The other thing I'll mention here is there are a lot of different files you can upload to Gigasheet, CSV, tab-separated files. We even process things like JSON, packet capture files, or EVTX log files, as well as SQLite files and Excel. The thing about Excel files and SQLite databases, when you load those, each tab in your spreadsheet for Excel will load as a different sheet in Gigasheet, and each table in a SQLite database will load as its own sheet. So here you can see I've got this file, online sales data CSV, that I've parsed. And actually it's 400, it actually isn't quite over a gig, it's 460 megs. I was thinking of this other file here that I was playing with earlier. So when I opened the file, the first thing I did was just click on the file name to open it in a new tab. You can see that here. And I can quickly see what's in it. And it looks like a normal spreadsheet. A few things to point out. Here, we are previewing just the first 100 rows, but when you work in Gigasheet, you are working with the entire data set, not just the preview. If you upgrade, you can unlock the ability to look at up to 1,000 rows at a time if you like. The next thing I'll do is just click on a row. I like to click on a row in Gigasheet because I get this row view where it organizes everything vertically for me. So I can quickly skim and see the columns, and these icons let us know what type of data is in there. So I can see this is a date and it's invoice date, and that makes sense. So if you have hundreds or even thousands of columns, this is a nice way to be able to get an overview of your data. But if you really want to look at a summary of it, you can click on this stats panel. And you can see here I've got a chart which outlines the type of data that I've uploaded and even stats on a particular column. We're actually building even more advanced things here. This is a pretty cool feature we added recently, which is a description. The description is generated by AI, but none of your data actually leaves Gigasheet for us to generate this description. So it's not like we send your whole data set somewhere else. An LLM or a GPT-like model is basically summarizing this data, and it puts that here. You can change this and overwrite it and say, like, this table contains 4.8 million rows and 9 columns, including, that's all true, but maybe I want to say this is like sales transactions from my online site, something like that. So you can put whatever you want here. This is handy because when you do a search in the library, if you're looking for a file, it searches not only the file name, but also this description. So even if you don't modify it, it tries to summarize it for you here to help you find the file later, which is super handy. So then we've got the rows summary here. And then the last panel is columns. So here we can see all the columns in this data set. I could also rearrange columns here, like quantity and maybe unit price, for example, and move those here. If you have lots of columns, you can hide or show them all. So in this case, I'll hide everything. And maybe I just want to start by looking at unit price and quantity here. One thing I can see is Gigasheet recognized quantity as a number. I can tell that by this hash sign here, but it pulled in unit price as a text field, and I can tell by the T here. If I want to work with this, let's say I want to calculate the total for each of these invoices or orders, for example, here, I would need these both to be number columns. And sometimes this can happen if someone accidentally entered a character in here instead of a number, or maybe there's a blank in here with just spaces in it. There are all kinds of reasons that you might get messy data. And I'll show you how to do this really quickly. It's really easy to change the data type here. We'll change price to a number in this case, and I want it to be a decimal. I'll hit apply. This is just telling you it's going to hide the old column. So one of the things we do in Gigasheet is we try not to mess up your original data and keep that pristine. So if you ever want to go back, you can see that this is the original column here, and it just hid it. So if for some reason data won't be lost in this using this approach. So now I've got this new column. You can tell it's new because it's blue. It'll stay like that for a few seconds. And if I show all the columns and then hide them again, and here's what it looks like. So this column on the far left is just a line number or iterator column, and it gives it the number of the line when it first was imported. So I'll hide that as well. So let's actually do that math. I'll show you how you can use formulas in Gigasheet to calculate a new column. You can use a lot of popular spreadsheet formulas, but we don't have every formula in Gigasheet yet. And there are a couple important things to note about formulas in Gigasheet. First of all, when you create a formula, it creates a whole new column, and it operates on every line in this sheet. So unlike a regular spreadsheet where you can reference a specific cell, here you reference an entire column and build an entire new column. So everything operates on sort of this columnar model. And I'll show you how that works. In this example, we can see here we've got placeholder text, but what I want to do is take this unit price column and multiply it times quantity, and that's pretty simple math. So you can also type it in as well. And what I want to say here is I'm multiplying these two. You basically just put in the column name. You don't need to start your formula with equals. You just type the column name, or you can use the insert like I showed before and hit Add Column. Now it's calculating this. This file is somewhat large, so it takes a second. It's 4.8 million rows of data approximately, and you can see here it's added the new column. That's basically how it works. There are other text formulas in here for string manipulation and other common logic functions like if, or, and, not, and so forth. Definitely recommend checking out the help documentation here if you're interested in formulas. Next, let's take a look at groups. Groups are a cool way to segment your data and really explore it. So in this case, I'm going to group by description. In this case, it's added an aggregation sum for the invoice number, but I don't want the sum. That doesn't really make sense to sum the invoice number. What I'd like is maybe the percent empty here. Like if anything doesn't have an invoice number, I can see that they're all filled, so that's good. But let's take a look at how many unique there are, or even the percent unique. So I can see here, these are 100% unique, which is great. There are no duplicate invoice numbers in this data set. Speaking of duplicates, a really common function that people use is here under data cleanup, and that is remove duplicates. We don't have any duplicates in this data set, so I'm not going to get into that, but I definitely recommend checking out some of these other functions. They're really handy for removing messy data or incomplete data. We also have a bunch of other functions here as well that we're not going to get into all of that, but you can do things like cross-file VLOOKUPs to join with other data, or even build out complex if statements. So groups are a great way to explore your data. You can also create subgroups. So here I've got this product description and then a bunch of different quantities and stock codes and customer IDs. So maybe I want to group this then by customer ID, so I can see how many customers actually bought these this product in particular, for example. So here I can see there's a bunch of customer IDs that are 0, and then this is our top customer with an ID here. And here's all the data within this. So that's groups. I'll also touch on sorts. You can see here it's sorted by invoice number, but you can add additional sort options. So you can sort first by invoice number, then by quantity in descending order, and then in ascending order by something else. You can get as complex as you like here. Pretty self-explanatory with sorting. And then filtering. Filtering is probably the most powerful thing that you can do in Gigasheet. You can build very complex filters here. So I could say invoice number is greater than 0, so I want to exclude any of those. And let's say the quantity is not empty, and we calculated that new column, that price times quantity column, which actually I should have probably just renamed to be total, but we'll do that. We'll say that is greater than 100. I just want to find maybe big ticket orders or something like that. So I can see here that 185,000 rows, just over 185,000 rows of the 4.7 million meet this criteria. I can then do my groups again on this. Another way to access groups is through this menu that I just showed here. So let's do description again. You can see just another way to get back to the same stuff. And those are really the basics of Gigasheet. There's tons more stuff you can do and get much more complicated with different formulas. We didn't talk about enrichments, which is a really cool way to bring in data from third-party sources and other websites. But I hope this provides a good, quick introductory tutorial in how to get started using Gigasheet. Once I've got my data to a place where I'm ready to do something else with it, I have a couple of options. One is I can share the data, so I could give someone else restricted access. This is basically locked or private access, and you simply just put their email address in here. You can also send them the link, but if they're not logged in with that address to Gigasheet, they can create a free account, but if they're not logged in with that address, they're not going to be able to access the file. You can also make it public here. I could give this link to anyone. They don't have to log into Gigasheet or have an account. I can also embed this on a website. And then the last option here is team. This is if I wanted, so we have a team set up at Gigasheet. So if I want to share this with everyone at my organization or give them access to it, I don't have to type in all their email addresses. Anyone within my team will have access to this. So that's how you do sharing. Alternatively, I can always export this data. What'll happen here is you obviously give it a file name and you can select where in your library you'd like to store the export. Basically what happens here is it builds a zip file and then provides you a link for downloading. That's how you use Gigasheet. I hope it was helpful and that it provided a good, quick introduction. Thanks.